what's up, you guys? So for today's video, I wanted to talk about all the reasons why you should not go to SeaWorld and you should not support them. And a lot of you probably know some of this information because I feel like at this point it's pretty commonly known. But for those of you who don't know or might be in denial or whatever, I just want to throw this information out there so that I can inform at least one person. If this reaches at least one person and changes their mind, then that will be amazing. So I'm going to be talking about SeaWorld, and I'm just going to barely scratch the surface because there is so much I could say about SeaWorld. I freaking hate SeaWorld, and there's so much wrong with it, but I feel like I don't want to sit here for 2 hours talking about it, and you don't want to sit here for 2 hours hearing me talk about it. But if you're interested in learning more, you can watch the documentary called Blackfish, and that is on Netflix. It's a really good documentary, and it talks about all kinds of stuff about SeaWorld. And the main topic of Blackfish, I feel like they mostly talk about Tilikum. He is an orca, and one of SeaWorld's, I believe, most famous, well-known orcas. He was caught in the wild when he was only 2 years old. And for those of you who haven't heard, Tilikum recently passed away, I believe a week or two ago, at the age of 35. Orcas in the wild tend to live between the ages of 50 and 100. So for orcas to die around the age of 30, 35 is pretty young, and it's pretty premature to die that young. And a lot of orcas in captivity do die young, and there are a lot of reasons for it, and I'm going to tell you. One thing which is very obvious and clear, I feel like, but people don't really think about it, is orcas come from the ocean, and the ocean literally gives them all the space in the world to roam around. At SeaWorld, they're kept in pools, which doesn't give them very much room to roam around. Right here it says, SeaWorld confines orcas who could swim up to 100 miles a day in the wild to tanks that, to them, are the size of a bathtub. They would need to swim 1,208 laps around the perimeter of the tank, or 3,105 lengths back and forth in the park's largest tank to equal what they'd swim in the wild. So if they were to swim back and forth in the largest tank at SeaWorld, they would have to swim back and forth over 3,000 times to equal the same distance they would normally travel in the wild. And that's the largest tank. Not all orcas are kept in the largest tank at SeaWorld. And also, orcas are very social animals. They like to be with other orcas. They travel in groups and form bonds with each other in the wild. And in captivity, they are very stressed out. Not only that, but orcas in captivity are kept together in small quarters, and a lot of the times it will cause fighting and it will cause them to harm each other. And another huge issue with orcas being kept in captivity is pretty much all adult orcas kept in captivity have collapsed dorsal fins, which SeaWorld tries to tell us that that is completely normal for all orcas, including orcas in the wild, and that is completely false. There are some orcas in the wild who have collapsed dorsal fins, but it is not common. And the orcas that do have collapsed dorsal fins in the wild don't just have it for no reason. It's because they're unhealthy. You know what I mean? Like, not normal. And I'm reading right here on my phone. It says, all captive adult male orcas have collapsed dorsal fins, likely because they have no space in which to swim freely and are fed an unnatural diet of thawed dead fish. SeaWorld claims that this condition is common. However, in the wild, it rarely ever happens and is a sign of an injured or unhealthy orca. And I also saw on another website somewhere basically saying orcas' dorsal fins aren't supported by any sort of bone. It's mostly just like tissue. And the reason why they don't collapse in the wild is because they travel so many miles in the ocean, and the force from the resistance of the water when they swim helps to support the dorsal fins and keep them upright. But when they are kept in captivity and they're stationary and they don't have a lot of room to roam around, it causes the dorsal fin to collapse because they're stressed out, they're unhealthy, and they're pretty inactive compared to what they would be in the wild. And also, there's a common misconception with orcas, also known as killer whales, that they are killers. They attack people and they kill people and it's normal. But really, it's only happened once in the wild. Only once has a killer whale ever killed a person in the wild. However, it's happened a few times in captivity at SeaWorld. I believe I read that Tilikum has killed 3 people, and that just doesn't happen in the wild. Killer whales do not really attack people. I remember hearing in the documentary Blackfish, they basically said that killer whales in captivity are more prone to attacking people because of all the stress that's put on them when being in captivity. And literally, like, being in captivity and being kept in a pool their entire lives is bad for them psychologically. Like, it psychologically messes them up and they just become a lot more aggressive. So even if you're one of those people who's like, why do you care so much about animals? Don't people's lives matter to you? Well, keeping orcas in captivity and having people train them and swim with them and do tricks with them is putting the lives of people in danger as well. Because you're putting a person in a situation where they have to deal with a very stressed out, psychologically damaged wild animal. And I don't want this video to be too long. I could sit here and talk forever, but I'm also just gonna throw out there that they obviously keep dolphins at SeaWorld as well. Dolphins are extremely, extremely intelligent creatures. They're very social, they, communicate with each other, and SeaWorld just kind of takes advantage of their intelligence and uses it to teach them a bunch of cheap tricks and keeps them in captivity, which also is still bad for dolphins for a lot of the same reasons as orcas. They need to be social and be with their family, and they need to be able to roam around, and they just simply cannot do that at SeaWorld. I feel like I'm leaving a lot out, and I am not going into detail as much as I could be. But if you guys want to, I highly encourage you to watch the documentary Blackfish, not only because they give a lot of detailed information, they include a lot of video footage, and it's a lot more convincing than just hearing me tell you things. Seeing it for yourself really makes a huge difference. I encourage you guys to go watch Blackfish. Awesome documentary. It will definitely change your mind. Even if this didn't change your mind, I assure you watching that documentary will. Please do not go to SeaWorld. Do not give them your money. Do not support them. SeaWorld needs to be shut down. It's just not right to keep animals like that in captivity. Orcas, dolphins, all of those creatures belong in the ocean. They do not belong in a pool. They are not here for our entertainment, and they don't want to be our entertainment. So please don't support SeaWorld, and please share this video so that more people can become aware as well. Give this video a thumbs up if you are against SeaWorld, if you agree with me and you think orcas and dolphins and all those animals belong in the ocean. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I post videos every week. Check out my social media. The links to those will be in the description below. And I'll see you guys in my next video.